The last thing Dr. Isabella Rivera expected during her night shift at Boston General was to be treating a patient who glowed in the dark. Yet there she stood, staring at a being that resembled a cross between a jellyfish and a star cluster, pulsing with bioluminescent light in varying shades of blue and purple. "I need a trauma bay cleared immediately," she called out, maintaining her professional composure despite the extraordinary circumstances. The creature had crashed through the hospital's roof 10 minutes ago, its crystalline spacecraft now embedded in the parking garage. The fact that Isabella wasn't currently running away screaming was a testament to 15 years of emergency medicine experience. When you've seen enough traumatic injuries, even an alien becomes just another patient who needs help. The being communicated through patterns of light that shifted across its translucent form. Thankfully, some sort of universal translator device had survived the crash, converting the pulses into comprehensible English. Internal, rupture, containment failing. The device translated, its mechanical voice tinged with urgency. "Get me Dr. Patel from Xenobiology," Isabella ordered, already pulling on a fresh pair of gloves. The hospital had established a xenobiology department 6 months ago as a joke, a pet project of their eccentric hospital director. Now it seemed less funny and more prophetic. The alien's crystalline outer membrane was cracking, leaking what appeared to be a luminescent fluid. Isabella's trained eye recognized the signs of internal bleeding, even if the blood in question looked more like liquid starlight. "We need to stabilize the membrane," she announced to her team, who stood frozen in amazement. "Move, people. Patient care protocols don't change just because our patient isn't from Earth." Dr. Rajesh Patel arrived moments later, clutching a tablet filled with hastily compiled xenobiological research papers. "The membrane composition appears similar to silicon-based life forms," he reported, scanning the alien with a modified ultrasound device. "But the internal structure, I've never seen anything like it." Isabella was already working, her hands steady as she applied a prototype biomedical sealant to the creature's rupturing membrane. "We don't need to understand everything about their biology," she stated firmly. "We just need to keep them alive long enough to heal themselves. Basic emergency medicine. Stabilize, treat, support." The next 4 hours became a blur of innovative medical procedures and split-second decisions. Isabella and her team discovered that conventional sutures passed right through the alien's semi-corporeal form, but ultraviolet light could temporarily solidify their tissue. They adapted their techniques on the fly, using modified fiber optic cables to guide the healing process along the being's natural energy pathways. Word of the unusual patient spread quickly. By morning, news vans surrounded the hospital, and government officials crowded the administrative offices. But Isabella paid them no attention, focused solely on her patient's vital signs, or whatever passed for vital signs in a being made partly of light and energy. The alien's recovery was remarkable. By sunset, their membrane had stabilized, and the bioluminescent patterns had returned to what Isabella assumed was a healthy rhythm. The translator device sparked to life again. Gratitude, life debt. Humans possess healing touch. Before Isabella could respond, a brilliant light filled the trauma bay. Multiple crystalline ships, similar to the crashed vessel but intact, appeared in the evening sky. The hospital's secure channels crackled with urgent messages from military and government officials, but they needn't have worried. The aliens, who called themselves the Luminarii, came in peace. More specifically, they came seeking medical care. Their species had been plagued by a devastating condition that caused their energy matrices to destabilize. Human medicine, with its unique combination of scientific precision and adaptable creativity, offered hope where their own healing technologies had failed. Isabella's successful treatment of the crashed Luminarii became the cornerstone of a new era in human history. Within months, Boston General was designated as Earth's first official extraterrestrial medical facility. New wings were constructed to accommodate patients of varying sizes, atmospheric requirements, and physical states of matter. The hospital staff adapted remarkably well to their expanded patient base. Nurse Rodriguez developed a knack for calming agitated energy beings with carefully modulated electromagnetic fields. Dr. Patel's xenobiology department grew from a single office to an entire research division. Even the cafeteria staff learned to prepare nutrient solutions for species that consumed pure radiation. Isabella found herself at the center of it all, not by choice but by circumstance. She approached each new alien species the same way she had approached that first luminarii, not as an incomprehensible other, but as a patient in need of care. Her methodology became the foundation for the first standardized xenomedicine protocols. "You know," Dr. Patel said to her one evening, as they watched a recently discharged luminarii float serenely through the hospital's new anti-gravity ward, "I always wondered why aliens would choose to make first contact with humans. Now I understand. In all the galaxy, we might be the only species stubborn enough to look at a being made of light and energy and think, I can fix that." Isabella smiled, checking her schedule for her next patient, a silicon-based life form with what appeared to be the alien equivalent of kidney stones. "That's the thing about medicine," she replied. "Sometimes the most important qualification isn't knowledge or technology. Sometimes it's simply the willingness to try, to adapt, and to care. Humans may be newcomers to the galactic community, but we've been practicing those skills for centuries." As she headed to her next patient, the hospital halls illuminated by the gentle glow of recovering luminarii, Isabella reflected on how much had changed in just a few months. Humanity had found its place in the cosmos not through military might or technological superiority, but through the simple, profound act of healing. In a universe full of wonders and terrors, sometimes the most revolutionary thing you can be is a good doctor. The being that materialized in International Extraterrestrial Medical Center's Trauma Bay defied conventional physics. Dr. Nasir Ahmed watched in fascination as his patient seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously, their form rippling like dark silk in a cosmic wind. The Voidwalkers, as humans had dubbed them, were among the most mysterious species in known space, beings that navigated the gaps between dimensions as easily as humans walked down streets. This particular Voidwalker was dying. Temporal desynchronization in all quadrants, reported Dr. Kendra Washington, the hospital's leading quantum physician. Her instruments, specially designed for extra-dimensional patients, displayed readings that would have given Einstein nightmares. Their core consciousness is fragmenting across multiple time streams. Nasir had treated Voidwalkers before, but never one in such critical condition. The species typically avoided medical care, their biology so complex that most civilizations' doctors couldn't even begin to understand it. But something had changed since humans entered the galactic medical community. Their unique approach to healing had earned them the trust of even the most reclusive species. "Start emergency temporal stabilization," Nasir ordered, his voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. "And get me the records from the Luminarii case from 6 months ago. There might be something useful in how they manipulated energy matrices." The Void Walker's form flickered dangerously, pieces of their consciousness threatening to scatter across different dimensions. Traditional medical equipment was useless. How do you measure the vital signs of a being that exists in multiple realities simultaneously? That's when Nasir had an idea so crazy it just might work. "Dr. Washington, remember that old theory about human consciousness affecting quantum states through observation? What if we're thinking about this backwards? Instead of trying to stabilize their temporal field from the outside, we synchronize our own consciousness with theirs." Kendra finished, her eyes widening. "Create a quantum entanglement between doctor and patient." "Nasir, that's incredibly dangerous. One wrong move and your consciousness could be scattered across dimensions too. Got any better ideas?" Nasir was already preparing the modified neural interface they used for communicating with psychic species. Sometimes the best medicine isn't about having the right answer, it's about being willing to take the necessary risks. The next few moments were unlike anything in medical history. As Nasir's consciousness merged with the Voidwalker's fractured awareness, he experienced existence across multiple dimensions simultaneously. It was beautiful, terrifying, and completely overwhelming. But through the chaos, he could sense the problem. Like a doctor feeling for a broken bone, he could detect where the Void Walker's quantum structure had begun to unravel. Using his own consciousness as an anchor, Nasir began the delicate process of drawing the scattered fragments back together. It was like trying to knit with threads made of probability and time, but the principle was the same as any other medical procedure. Identify the problem, devise a solution, execute with precision and care. Hours passed in what might have been minutes or centuries. Time became meaningless in the quantum interface. When Nasir finally emerged, drenched in sweat but successful, the Void Walker had stabilized into a more coherent form. Remarkable, the being communicated directly into their minds, their gratitude rippling across multiple frequencies of reality. In all our travels through the dimensions, we never encountered a species that would risk their own consciousness to heal another. The case became a turning point in xenomedicine. Nasir's innovative approach, using human consciousness as a medical tool, opened up entirely new avenues of treatment. The hospital established a dedicated quantum medicine department, combining traditional healing practices with cutting-edge physics. More Voidwalkers began appearing at human hospitals, bringing with them knowledge from countless dimensions. They taught human doctors about planes of existence beyond normal comprehension, while humans taught them about the healing power of empathy and connection. "You know what's funny?" Kendra said to Nasir weeks later, as they watched their Voidwalker patient shift gracefully through different dimensional states during a follow-up examination. Everyone thought first contact would be about advanced technology or cosmic wisdom. Instead, it's about the most basic human trait of all, our willingness to help, even when we don't fully understand what we're helping. Nasir nodded, reviewing the quantum readings that had become as familiar to him as traditional vital signs. Maybe that's exactly why we were meant to join the galactic community. In a universe of infinite possibilities, sometimes you need someone crazy enough to try the impossible. The Voidwalker's successful treatment added another chapter to humanity's growing reputation as the galaxy's healers. Each new species that came through their doors brought unique challenges, but also opportunities to expand the boundaries of medical science. Human doctors might not have been the most technologically advanced or the most knowledgeable about cosmic mysteries, but they possessed something equally valuable: the courage to venture into unknown territory, guided by the simple desire to heal. As Nasir prepared for his next shift, he reflected on how far human medicine had come since that first luminary crash-landed on Earth. They were no longer just practicing emergency medicine. They were pioneering an entirely new field of healing that spanned dimensions, species, and the very fabric of reality itself. The quarantine alarms on Deep Space Medical Station Epsilon blared for the third time in an hour as Dr. Olivia Santos sprinted down the curved corridor, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. The station's artificial gravity was failing, another system compromised by the mysterious illness sweeping through the facility. "Status report," she called out, entering the main medical bay where dozens of patients from at least 8 different species writhed in agony. Each showed the same symptoms despite their radically different biologies: iridescent veins, fever-like energy spikes, and most worryingly, a complete breakdown of their natural healing processes. "We've lost contact with decks 3 through 5, reported Dr. James Franklin, his dark skin glistening with sweat as he administered emergency stabilizers to a crystalline being whose facets were turning an alarming shade of black. "And the Hivemind Collective in Section 7 is showing signs of cognitive fragmentation." The situation was unprecedented. Deep Space Medical Station Epsilon had been established as humanity's most advanced extraterrestrial hospital, positioned at a crucial intersection of major space lanes. Now it had become ground zero for what could become the galaxy's first truly pan-species pandemic. "The infection spread pattern doesn't make any sense," Olivia muttered, studying the holographic display of patient data. "It's affecting silicon-based life forms, energy beings, and carbon-based organisms equally. That should be impossible. They don't even share the same fundamental biology." A sudden commotion drew her attention. One of the Meridian patients, insectoid beings known for their advanced biological understanding, had begun to glow with an intense inner light. "Critical phase," James shouted, rushing to assist. But before they could reach the patient, the being's exoskeleton shattered, releasing a burst of energy that knocked out another set of the station's systems. Olivia's mind raced as she helped stabilize the remaining Meridian patients. There had to be a connection they were missing. The illness wasn't following any known pathogenic patterns. It wasn't even behaving like a normal disease. "Wait," she said suddenly, straightening up. "What if we're not dealing with a disease at all? What if it's more like an allergic reaction, but on a quantum level?" General Cthor of the Drachnid Empire stood in the observation deck of Unity Medical Center, his scaled armor gleaming under the artificial lights. 7 feet of muscle, bone, and pride, he represented everything humans once feared about alien life. The Drachnids were legendary warriors, conquerors of 1,000 worlds, feared throughout the galaxy for their unstoppable military might. Yet here their greatest general stood, watching his elite warriors succumb to an invisible enemy. Dr. Marcus Reynolds approached the imposing figure, medical tablet in hand. "General, we've completed our initial assessment of your soldiers." He kept his voice steady, professional. After 3 years of treating extraterrestrial patients, he'd learned that confidence mattered more than size. And Cthor's voice rumbled like distant thunder. His ceremonial blade, permitted only after hours of diplomatic negotiations, caught the light as he turned. "The neural degradation is progressing faster than we initially thought. Whatever your forces encountered in the Nexus cluster is attacking their synaptic pathways. Without treatment, they'll lose all motor function within days." The general's tail lashed in frustration, leaving a dent in the reinforced wall. "Impossible. Drachnid warriors do not simply fall ill. We are engineered for perfection, bred for combat. Our medical technologies are unmatched." General Cthor of the Drachnid Empire stood in the observation deck of Unity Medical Center, his scaled armor gleaming under the artificial lights. 7 feet of muscle, bone, and pride, he represented everything humans once feared about alien life. The Drachnids were legendary warriors, conquerors of 1,000 worlds, feared throughout the galaxy for their unstoppable military might. Yet here their greatest general stood, watching his elite warriors succumb to an invisible enemy. Dr. Marcus Reynolds approached the imposing figure, medical tablet in hand. "General, we've completed our initial assessment of your soldiers." He kept his voice steady, professional. After 3 years of treating extraterrestrial patients, he'd learned that confidence mattered more than size. And Cthor's voice rumbled like distant thunder. His ceremonial blade, permitted only after hours of diplomatic negotiations, caught the light as he turned. "The neural degradation is progressing faster than we initially thought. Whatever your forces encountered in the Nexus cluster is attacking their synaptic pathways. Without treatment, they'll lose all motor function within days." The general's tail lashed in frustration, leaving a dent in the reinforced wall. "Impossible. Drachnid warriors do not simply fall ill. We are engineered for perfection, bred for combat. Our medical technologies are unmatched." "With respect, General," Marcus replied, pulling up a holographic display of a Drachnid neural scan. "Sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones we're not prepared to fight. Your species' enhanced biology, the very thing that makes you such formidable warriors, is actually accelerating the degradation." Around them, the specialized ward housed dozens of Drachnid warriors, their mighty forms now trembling with involuntary movements. The pride of the Empire's fighting force, reduced to struggling against their own rebelling bodies. For a species that valued strength and control above all else, it was worse than any battlefield defeat. "The human suggests treatment," sneered Subcommander Vex, one of Cthor's few remaining healthy officers. "As if these primitive beings could succeed where our own medical experts failed." Marcus ignored the jab, focusing instead on Cthor. "General, I understand your reluctance. But consider this. Throughout history, the greatest warriors have known when to adapt their tactics. Sometimes victory requires approaching a problem from an unexpected direction." Cthor studied him with ancient, reptilian eyes. "Speak your plan, human. Your enhanced healing factor is working against you. It's trying to fight something that isn't an enemy, causing cascading neural damage. We propose temporarily suppressing your natural regeneration, giving us a window to clear the affected pathways." "Suppress our healing?" Vex interrupted. "You would make us weak?" "No," Marcus corrected. "We would make you patients. There's a difference." What followed was the most delicate diplomatic medical operation in Unity Medical Center's history, convincing proud Drachnid warriors to voluntarily suppress their enhanced abilities when against millennia of cultural conditioning. Marcus spent hours explaining every detail of the procedure, respecting their warrior culture while gently helping them understand that this was a different kind of battle. The breakthrough came when Cthor himself volunteered to be the first treated. "If we must fall," he declared to his troops, "let us fall leading from the front, as warriors should." The procedure was a marvel of human medical innovation. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, their leading neurologist, had adapted techniques originally developed for treating human neurodegenerative disorders. They combined these with insights gained from their experiences with various alien physiologies, creating a treatment protocol that respected both the medical and cultural needs of their patients. Marcus worked alongside Cthor's personal medical officer, teaching them human techniques while learning about drachnid biology. The warriors, once they accepted their role as patients, proved to be remarkably stoic. They approached their recovery with the same discipline they brought to combat training. "Your species continues to confound us," Cthor admitted to Marcus during a follow-up examination. The general's movements were already showing signs of improvement. "We assumed your lack of natural weapons or enhanced abilities made you inferior. Yet you have conquered things our greatest warriors could not touch." "We had to," Marcus replied, checking the general's neural readings. "Humans have always been physically weaker than our predators. We survived by learning to heal, to adapt, to solve problems instead of overwhelming them with force." The successful treatment of the drachnid warriors marked a significant shift in galactic politics. The proud warrior race, known for maintaining its distance from other species, began establishing permanent medical exchanges with human facilities. Young drachnid warriors were now required to study basic human medical techniques alongside their combat training. "You know what the irony is?" Dr. Tanaka said to Marcus months later, as they watched a group of drachnid medical students practicing human surgical techniques. "They came to us because they saw us as non-threatening. But it was precisely our weakness, our need to heal rather than dominate, that gave us the strength to help them." The drachnid case became legendary in human medical circles, not just for its technical challenges, but for what it represented. In a galaxy filled with species that had evolved to fight, to conquer, to dominate, humanity had found its niche by learning to heal. Their greatest weapon had turned out to be their capacity for empathy, their ability to see beyond physical power to the fundamental dignity of all living beings. The emergency broadcast echoed across all frequencies as Dr. Amar Patel stood in Unity Medical Center's command hub, surrounded by holographic displays showing the unfolding crisis. A quantum cascade failure was rippling through the galaxy's major travel lanes, affecting every species that used faster-than-light travel. The symptoms were catastrophic: temporal displacement, cellular degradation, and complete biological system failure. "Status report from all sectors," she commanded, her voice carrying the weight of 15 years of xenomedicine experience. Around her, representatives from dozens of species coordinated their responses. "Luminarii healing centers are overwhelmed," reported a pulsing light being. "Our energy matrices cannot stabilize the quantum fluctuations." Drachnid medical vessels reporting complete failure of enhanced healing protocols, growled General Cthor through the comm system. "Our strongest warriors are falling. Void Walker dimensional gates are collapsing," came the multi-tone thought projection of their quantum physics liaison. "We cannot maintain safe passage between medical facilities." This was the nightmare scenario that xenomedicine had always feared. A crisis that threatened not just one species but the entire galactic community. But it was also the moment humanity had been preparing for since their first alien patient crashed through a hospital roof years ago. Implementation of Emergency Protocol Asclepius, Amar announced, activating a sequence of commands. Across the galaxy, human medical facilities began transforming into coordination hubs. "We're going to combine everything we've learned from treating different species into one unified response." The plan was audacious. They would use modified versions of the quantum shielding developed during the Deep Space Station Epsilon crisis, combined with the consciousness synchronization techniques pioneered in Void Walker treatment. Drachnid warriors would provide secure transport corridors while Luminarii energy beings helped stabilize the quantum fields around major population centers. "This is unprecedented," objected a member of the Galactic Medical Council. "No species has ever attempted to coordinate healthcare on this scale." "Then it's about time someone did," Amara replied, already moving to the next phase. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our knowledge. It's our ability to bring people together to find solutions that work for everyone. The next 72 hours became a symphony of interspecies cooperation. Human doctors worked alongside alien healers, combining their different approaches into something entirely new. The Luminarii's energy manipulation techniques were integrated with human emergency protocols. Drachnid precision merged with human adaptability. Void Walker quantum understanding enhanced human medical technology. In orbit above Earth, Dr. Isabella Rivera, the pioneer who treated that first Luminarii patient, coordinated with her alien counterparts to establish new treatment protocols. Through quantum entanglement communications, Dr. Nasir Ahmed guided teams in stabilizing dimensional rifts. On Deep Space Station Epsilon, Dr. Olivia Santos's team deployed modified shield harmonics to protect vital medical supply routes. But the true miracle wasn't just in the technical solutions. It was in the way different species set aside their differences to work together. Proud Drachnid warriors flew protection missions for vulnerable medical transports. Luminarii beings used their energy forms to power human medical equipment. Void Walkers risked their own quantum stability to maintain emergency transportation corridors. "Look at this," Dr. Marcus Reynolds said to Amara during a brief respite, gesturing to the command hub where dozens of species worked in harmony. "A century ago, we were afraid the galaxy would be filled with conquering aliens. Instead, we found partners in healing." The crisis lasted for weeks, pushing every species to their limits. But in the end, humanity's approach prevailed. The quantum cascade was contained, then reversed. Billions of lives were saved not through military might or technological superiority, but through the simple, powerful act of working together to heal. As the emergency subsided, the Galactic community gathered at Unity Medical Center for a historic announcement. The Galactic Medical Council, traditionally dominated by ancient species, was being reorganized with humanity in a leading role. "In all our millennia of space exploration," the Council Elder declared, "we developed incredible technologies and amassed vast knowledge. But you humans showed us something more valuable: the power of healing not just bodies, but divisions between species. You've taught us that true medical advancement comes not from working alone, but from working together." Amara stood at the ceremony, watching representatives from across the galaxy formalize new medical cooperation treaties. Each species brought their own strengths: Luminarii energy manipulation, Drachnid precision, Void Walker quantum mastery. But it was humanity's gift for bringing these different approaches together, for seeing beyond biological differences to the shared need for healing, that had changed the galaxy forever. "You know what this means?" she said to her colleagues as they watched the proceedings. "This isn't just about medicine anymore. We're helping build a galaxy where different species don't just coexist, they actively help each other thrive." As the ceremony concluded, a new symbol was unveiled above Unity Medical Center, a human medical cross, surrounded by representations of all known healing traditions in the galaxy. It stood as a testament to humanity's greatest discovery, that in a universe full of incredible diversity, the desire to heal and help others is truly universal. The story of human healers had become legend across the stars, not as conquerors or warriors, but as those who dared to reach across the boundaries of species and space to offer help to any who needed it. In doing so, they had earned something far more valuable than fear or dominance. They had earned trust, respect, and a place of honor in the galactic community.